everybody doing? Welcome. If you guys are new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. This is the Sunny Days 305 podcast. The host himself here today. I'm going to be your host today. We're going to do the interviews. We're going to get all the questions that you guys been wanting. Now, for those of you who've been following Sunny Days, you know that he has been talking about prison life. He's been giving you guys a journey of his life and the things that he's been going through. But we're going to dive a little bit deeper into the things that most people don't talk about. Most people don't talk about the family side, the losses, the mental capacity that it takes in order to go through this whole journey of being a street life, right? So we're going to just go down that journey. We want you guys to follow along with us. But without further ado, here's Albert himself. Sunny, here we go.
Greetings. Welcome to Sunny Days 305 Degrees podcast, where we always on point and we always encourage you to fact check.
Absolutely. So today, what we want to do is, Sunny, we want, our youth to know what was it about Lil Sunny, right? How did Lil Sunny grow up? Did he grow up with the white picket fence? Did he grow up with the biological parents? And then he just decided to go off on his own journey? Or was he a product of his environment? So just walk us through Lil Sunny journey and his childhood.
Well, first of all, thank you for even considering coming on Sunny Days 305 Degrees.
Absolutely.
It's an honor, Queen.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Sunny, oftentimes I think about, how did I get to where I am now? And I'm really glad that you taking me back to Lil Sunny, because I don't really go that far.
Yeah.
Right? Definitely a product of my environment.
Okay.
And so Lil Sunny grew up very, very peculiar.
Okay. How so?
From the time I could remember, well, first of all, I could never, ever picture my real father ever in one place with my mother.
Okay.
And the time that I did see them two standing together, I was 30 years old on the run from the feds.
Wow.
So I remember my first grade teacher, I remember my kindergarten teacher, I remember things that went on in my environment. But I cannot bring up a picture with him ever being there ever.
So do you think because he wasn't there, do you think, Lil Sunny missed that? Is it anything that maybe, going into that street life, did you see that street life growing up and probably just didn't understand it right away?
Well, first I give a shout out to stepdads.
Okay, absolutely.
Right, because we had a stepfather
Mm-hmm.
that stood in the gap. Right? But my stepfather and my mother, they wasn't junkies, but they were drug addicts and drug dealers.
Okay.
So from the time that I could think of me being conscious,
Mm-hmm.
along with that came the drug use of my mother, her boyfriend, her friends, my uncles, my aunts.
So how old you think around this time that you consciously knew, probably didn't know what it was, but you seen it firsthand?
This journey probably started for me around maybe 6.
6. And was it a time like, that's all you grew up around? Or was it ever a time where, maybe you guys separated, where you was able to see both sides, maybe a family member stepped in where, you probably could see both? Or was this like your norm, just to see your mom and stepdad around drugs or whatever?
Great question. So when I was young, our friends were our siblings or our cousins.
Okay.
So we had our cousins, Denise and Derek, and so we would go to their house, and it was different.
Gotcha.
It wasn't no drug use. It wasn't no we ate dinner on time. discipline was in place.
Okay.
And all that stuff. So I did not constantly live in hell.
Gotcha. So you was able to see the difference. So what made you basically choose what your mom and stepdad that like, because you was exposed to both. So you could have chose either side. But what was that one point where fast forward and now going into now maybe you using or you selling, like what was that first encounter for you?
Well, I seen what I seen when I was young. I probably definitely shouldn't have seen it.
Mm-hmm.
So I seen, my mother and stepfather brandishing guns as if somebody was going to come and do something to us, right?
Mm-hmm.
I seen them use drugs. I seen them using drugs. I seen their friends using drugs. I seen my aunts and my uncles using drugs.
And at the time, was that like your norm, or did you kind of figure like maybe it wasn't right, or it just was the norm where at the time it was like, well, that's just what they do?
Well, I think it was normal because from the time I was conscious, that's what I grew up into. So that it was normal for me.
Gotcha.
Like, to see somebody overdose. It was normal for me to see somebody get shot. It was normal for me. That was a normal life.
So seeing that, was there ever a point of time where, because like nowadays, if a kid is exposed to that, you will have like DCF knocking on your door or something like that. Was there ever a time where things just got out of control where, drugs used, maybe, people may be coming in to take you? Did you have other siblings? Like, was things ever got crazy where things, as a kid, you start feeling like, fearful?
Well, as much as I say, and I have to define my mother properly these days.
Mm-hmm.
May she rest in peace. Because most of my videos, I used to talk about my mom being a junkie and an addict, But a junkie and an addict is different. So my mom, she bathed us, she took care of us, she made sure we ate, she made sure we was good. So we never had a issue where somebody was gonna come get us, or where we were neglected, where we were dirty, where we were filthy, and that never happened,
So now you done got exposed to that, that's your norm, basically, pretty much, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now as you growing up, around what age, let's go into now Sonny as a teenager, right? Now he's able to pretty much kind of defend for himself.
Mm-hmm.
Now he kind of know what right from wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Was it any point in time where you maybe dabbled into it, or you start selling? Now we're getting around early teenage years.
Well, I think my turning point, before I really get to my teenage years, my turning point was a time where SWAT kicked in our doors.
Wow. And about what age you think that was about?
So I had to be about 8.
8.
So during those times, when you think of SWAT, you think of Army men.
Mm-hmm.
Because we used to watch them Army shows on TV back then. And so I was the type of person knowing that people could die in my presence, people could OD in my presence. And I actually seen people that was high as a kite bringing back people that had overdosed. And the people that's bringing the people back that overdosed, they probably on a point to overdose.
Wow.
And so since I knew my mother was shooting drugs, I needed to figure out how to bring somebody back when they overdosed, because I was sure that my mom was going to do that one day. And then when that happened, I didn't want people that's almost overdosing and high dealing with her. I wanted to be the one to save her.
So now, 8 years old, walk us through that. SWAT done kicked in the door. How did that go?
So SWAT kicks in. So I'm what I used to do. So when in my age, if grown people seeing you in their business, they slap your whole face off. They let you know when you 3, and after then you just get the business.
Absolutely.
Right? And so everything that was going on with my mom and them, I had to play like I was not paying attention.
Gotcha. So
Right.
was there any, like, your siblings, because you being 8 years old watching all of this, and I'm like you're the oldest, right?
Yes.
So now you're being 8. How did that play a part? Because now you're the big brother.
Yes.
So you feel like not only do you have to protect your mom, but now you have little siblings. Like that must be had to be a lot for an 8-year-old.
You know what? My mom, you know, back in those days, we used to have long afros, big afros, which means we needed to get our hair plaited.
Yeah.
Which means I got 2 sisters, and my mom had to plait their hair too.
Mm-hmm.
And so by the time she get to plait my hair, you know, most times she would get all the way around and then leave the top. Right?
Yeah.
And so I figured out how to plait when I was bonded with her, sitting between her legs. She would plait my hair. That's how we were bonding. And I felt how she would plait my hair, because sometimes my sisters and them needed their hair plaited too.
Mm-hmm.
So from me sitting down and feeling her hands all in my hair and the twisting and all that stuff, you know, I was able to start plaiting my sisters in hair.
Wow.
You know, and I learned that from her. So wherever she was slacking at with them, I took up the slack. And so when I was young, some kind of way, and I'm figuring it out now about me, I learned characters. So I would be playing in the front yard, and we had traffic going in and out of our house, So now I'm in the front acting like I'm playing marbles, but I'm seeing the people that come through the house. I know if they walk in a certain way. I know if they cool a certain way. I understood characters, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so as SWAT ran past me and kicked the doors in, I swore that I could visualize my mom and them shot up lying in the pool of blood.
Wow.
And so when SWAT passed me, I got up and I ran to my aunt's house.
Mm-hmm.
That aunt that we go get a little heaven from every now
Yeah.
and then. And let me tell you, I ran from 61st Street and 8th Avenue to 58th Street and 13th Avenue.
Wow.
And I'm running fast. I'm like, oh, that would kill my mommy. Oh, I hope they don't kill my mommy. And so I'm running. And so by the time I actually get to my aunt's house, I'm out of breath. She's like, boy, what's wrong with you? And I'm pulling her, telling her to get her car keys, pulling her to the car, because I can't talk.
Yeah.
You know, I must have ran 2 miles, I don't know how long. And so she take me back home. And then once we get to our apartment, you know, our stepfather, he's in the back seat of the police car. I see my mother, she's up, she's not in handcuffs. And, you know, I was just thanking God, man, that wasn't the day.
Yeah.
You know, that my mother and my stepfather got killed.
So was it a turning point for them? Was it a time where they were like, okay, this done got out of control? Did they try to straighten up their act, or was that just a continuing pattern that you were just now starting to see as you're getting older and older?
I think at that point, it had got to that level.
Gotcha.
You know, without DCF involved. At that point, once SWAT came in and once all of that stuff transpired, and after that, we became homeless. From that incident, we became homeless.
Wow.
So my mom, she wasn't shooting no drugs then. If she did, we didn't see it.
Okay.
Because she took us to a place in Overtown called Women in Distress.
Okay.
And so they let us stay there for a couple of days, and then they told her, you know, you can stay here, but the children can't stay here.
Wow.
So we went to different little homeless places and stuff like that. We would walk around to pantries to eat, and my mom just make sure that we ate. And she, like, I never seen her cry. I never seen her cry about it. She just moved, right? And so after, in my mind, we were homeless for a year. In my mind, you know. Realistically, it may have been a week.
Gotcha. But you know, as a kid, when you're going through that, you really don't know time. You just know that things are just not the norm, right?
Yes.
Like you know that maybe without saying it, your mom probably a little, okay, we gotta move, we gotta do everything is a little different. So now seeing all of that, you're still in school, right? At this time.
Yes.
So as you and your siblings, you going through school, you guys, basically have to play like everything is normal back at home.
Yes.
But now you're in school. Now what's going on with you as you're getting older? We're going past, the adolescent days. The like I was saying before.
Yes.
You can make your own, opinions. You can
Yes.
you can move the way you kind of, want to move, right? You're
Yes.
making your own way. So at this point now, how is Albert doing now, right? Is he still in school? Is he trying to figure his own path? And then, like you said, you have siblings and you're taking on that responsibility. So now how's your life as you're getting older and you're moving and figuring things out?
I remember a teacher asked me, what was I going to be when I grew up? And she backed me in the wall because she wanted an answer. When I was 8, 9, 10 years old, I knew I wasn't going to college.
Okay.
Because I understood, I say, man, my parents, they was selling the drugs. They was making the money. I don't know if they budgeting was off. I didn't know what they were doing. It's something that they was doing wrong. And I say, I'm gonna correct that. So the time when they had the guns, when we were laying under the window, I understood whatever I got from somebody, I needed to pay them because I didn't want my family to go through that. And then that needle. Seeing that needle in my mom's arm. And you know what my kryptonite is?
What is it?
That needle. I hate the needle. I seen my mom shoot that poison in her arm with the needle. So I said, no, and that white powder. I'm not gonna use powder and I'm not gonna shoot drugs. But I'm gonna do it right. They didn't do it right. And the reason why I have to do it right, because I don't want my children to experience what I experienced as a child, and I don't want my woman to experience what my mother experienced as a mother. So I said, you know what? I'm definitely gonna sell drugs. I'm definitely not gonna do it the way they did it. And my children, they're not gonna ever want for nothing. And they definitely not never gonna be homeless.
So it's safe to say that at that moment, you made a decision to sell drugs. And we look at it like, your product of your environment is such a cliche, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when it's not presented to you in a bad way, because you've seen it as a way of, it just need correction,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a problem, it just needed correction.
Yes.
And now you've made a conscious decision that all I gotta do is make a few tweaks and we'll be okay.
Yes.
Despite the drug use and the SWAT kicking open the door, I can make this right.
Mm-hmm.
And then now you've made a decision to basically so-called take on the family business, right?
Yes.
So now we're in this, I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna do it the right way.
Yes.
So now we're walking down that lane of you basically making some tweaks.
Yes.
So how did that go along? Because keep in mind now, because you see it that way, you still have younger siblings.
Yes.
And they may see it a totally different way.
For sure.
So how is, the way that you're looking at it, because I'm pretty sure you still want to protect them too.
Yes.
So what did you do to make sure, okay, well, if this is the decision I want to make, did you present that to your siblings? Did you try to, stir them in a different way? Like how did that go?
Well, I didn't have the mindset to steer them. I wouldn't know, but when my siblings think of me, especially around those young ages, they definitely look at me as a father figure and a protector of them.
Okay.
Right? But the peculiar thing about it is, I remember I was 18 years old, straight out of high school. I got me a Burger King job. And I know what my skills, I know I'm not gonna always stay on the fries. And I looked at the manager and I'm like, I'm young, but I'm like, I'm definitely gonna take his job one day, for sure. You know what I mean? Cause that's what I do,
Gotcha.
right? That's how much confidence I have in me,
Absolutely.
right? But one time I caught the double pneumonia and I couldn't go to work. And my mom, she took me we jumped on that 77 bus. I remember like it was yesterday. We jumped on the 77 bus and went to that Burger King on 7th Avenue and 87th Street. Because she wanted them to see that I had lost like 15 pounds since the 2 days that they didn't see me.
Okay.
So the people told her, they fired me.
Wow.
And I loved that job. I used to have my brown on. I was proud of that because I lived in the village where they sold drugs.
So what made you get the Burger King job instead of getting, I guess at this point you didn't dive into the drug and the, selling at this point? So
at that point, I'm finished school, but I found myself during school selling dollar joints.
Gotcha.
In high school.
Okay.
Right? But when I finished school, my mindset, because I used to be in the work release program.
Okay.
The what they call it, whatever they call it when you be in the school, you go to school
Yeah.
half a day. And so I was really trying to do that.
Okay.
Right? But when they fired me, the next job that I got, one of the drug dealers hired me in the area.
So that's how it happened.
Right? And he figured out that I was smarter than all the other people that were working for him, even the older people.
Wow.
Because all of that college that I went through from 5 to 12, so after the homeless, my grandma got us at 12.
Okay.
So 11, 10, 9, 8, I was getting taught how to sell drugs from masters for real. And so the guy that I was working for, when I started working for him, that stuff kicked in on me. Wow. And I was smarter than him as far as the drug thing. I knew how, if you would talk to your dad, which is my brother, he would tell you that I would rush to the little apartment and tell him, close down, SWAT coming, close down now, close down. And they'd be moving slow, close down. And then a few minutes later, SWAT would come.
Gotcha.
I had a type of feeling like that, and I knew how to count. And I knew not to be short. And I knew not to play with nobody's money. So all of that stuff that I learned on its own, I think it was waiting for an opportunity.
So is it safe to say, through some, life situations, you got the job at Burger King, you basically on the straight and narrow.
Yes.
But then when that happened, and now it's like, okay, this is familiar. This is like that thing that we put in the back of our head, and then when we get that trigger, now it's just easy going. So now you get introduced to this, where this guy meets you, and now a new, let's just say the new Sonny done emerge, right?
Yes.
What feels your normal is coming back.
Yes.
So now you into, selling slowly or whatever.
Yeah.
And now as we going, how did it go from, just selling the, joints here and there to where, you know what, I can do this. Like I'm in the village and what made you be on that front line now?
So really, I did not know that wisdom was in my mind to be operating on. So I was operating in it, and I didn't know it.
Which is normal.
Right.
Yeah.
So the guy that I was working for, he liked me so much. As a matter of fact, I would say he loved me. And what made me love him was I tried him one day because I didn't want my mom and us living in the village anymore.
Okay.
So I went and told him, I said, hey man, somebody snatched my mama chain, man. I need to move her out of the village. So he was a Guyana dude. So he said, yo man, tell your mother, man, find a place, man, and however much it is, man, take it off the thing now, you get and give it to your mama. So he moved us out of the village.
And when you seen that, was that like a wow moment for you? Like, just looking at it now, did you ever think about it like, man, just like that, like, you could just make a move like that and just move my whole family out. Like, I want to be in a position like that.
Great question. So this man, when he did that, so now you got my loyalty.
Yeah.
So they thought, and I turned Jamaican. If you would have seen me back then, they were like, man, that young Dread over there, he tripping over there, man. Man, that Dread, you would thought I was Jamaican. That I wanted to be like him so much, right? And so one day, he took me to his house. And when he drove up his new Benz, his new house out there in Carol City, I had never been out in no Carol. I've been to Opelika, but I'd never been out there like that.
Yeah.
And so when he took me to that house and we went in, he had a family that nobody in the city seen.
Wow.
He had cars that nobody in the city seen. And when I seen that, that's when it gave me purpose.
Gotcha.
I said, oh, you make the money down there and you have your family living good up here, right? Had he never showed me that, I wouldn't have never known what the purpose was for selling drugs.
Gotcha.
And I like, that's what I want. And so when I seen that,